Welcome to Talk Travel with Heather Tate, North Mississippi's podcast for savvy travelers. Talk Travel with Heather Tate is a weekly podcast that airs every Monday on the Shark 102.3 FM radio station based in Ripley, Mississippi, and is then released as a podcast. Travel advisor and travel enthusiast Heather Tate of Whimsical Destinations gives listeners expert travel tips curated through the years of personal and professional experience. By clicking subscribe, you'll have a new travel tip to add to your collection delivered to your podcast library every Monday. Talk Travel with Heather Tate is brought to you by Sun Bear Studio. Sun Bear Studio is a boutique recording studio in the heart of Ripley, Mississippi. When you record with us at Sun Bear Studio, we can mix, master, register, and publish your music, your podcast, or your family story. Email us when you're ready at sunbear@jc.media.
This program was recorded at Sun Bear Studio in Ripley, Mississippi.
Good morning, Northeast Mississippi travelers. This is Heather with Talk Travel with Heather Tate, and I'm so excited to share my adventures and tried and true tips with you, whether you are also a seasoned traveler, a hopeful traveler, or currently an armchair traveler, meaning you're going to follow along with us from home for now. This is our 147th episode of Talk Travel with Heather Tate. And I'm going to be completely honest with you. This is an episode that I changed at the last minute because I was so excited to share something with you guys that was new for me. So I completely understand this may not be new for you. So you may be listening to this episode and think, okay, she's behind the times. But if you're not, if you're more like me and this is new information for you, I wanted to provide it to you. This is going to be about ChatGPT and planning your trip. So what is ChatGPT? How did I get this idea for it? And how are we going to use it? So I'm going to be honest. I was scrolling through Facebook, like so many of us often do, and it was the day after Easter. And I was looking at everybody's Easter pics, their beautiful Easter pics, and there were a lot of them, which is normal, right? Like everybody post their Easter pics with their family and their beautiful Easter outfits where they're all coordinating in pastels. I love to do that. I always think about my Easter outfit and what it's going to be and how I can make the boys kind of blend in with me. But then I saw everyone saying, ChatGPT, roast my Easter pic. And I thought, what in the world is this talking about? And then I would read the description, and it was going person by person in the photo, giving a description of that person, what they were thinking, what they were doing, what they were wearing, why they thought to wear what they were wearing. And you could tell some were gentle, some were spicy, like they were not gentle, and they were even critiquing the backgrounds. And they were hilarious, and people were sharing their own because they thought they were so funny. And I thought, okay, I don't know how to do this, but I don't know if this is an app. Like I've heard of, I was calling it ChatGT, and I now know it's ChatGPT. So I understand now, but that I was showing my age a little bit of being 41 and not really knowing what was happening because it's new technology. And I know about AI, and I know that a lot of people think AI is going to take over and that we're, going to lose jobs to it. And there are some things that AI can do that make it a lot easier for us. And so I will be honest, as a travel advisor, I had never utilized AI. And there are some pros to it. So here's where I'm going to be completely transparent. And I'm going to say I now have found some things that I think can be very helpful about ChatGPT. But I'm going to be honest as well. And I'm going to share with you the downfalls or the things you need to look out for when using ChatGPT to plan your trip. So should you use it or should you not? Maybe it's a combination. What is ChatGPT? It is a large language model chatbot created by OpenAI. So it's going to have natural human-like responses to your questions. So you can ask it anything. You can ask it to help you rephrase or even write creative responses, new responses, and larger documents with different tones. I think that's what's really interesting. You give it information, and the more information you give it, the more customizable it can be. So like if you're going to give it a picture and tell it to describe the picture, you can say you want it in a poem. You can say you want it to be gentle. You want it to be romantic. You can tell ChatGPT what the year is. You can tell them who the people in the photo are in relation to each other. So you can provide more information. And the more information you provide, the more targeted the response audiences will become. So not only can it answer questions, not only can it roast your Easter photo or any photo, for that matter. And we found that out. I had clients who, they said, roast my, beach pic, and it was hilarious. So then I decided, I'm going to start roasting some of our pictures. And Logan became obsessed with it. At first, I'm going to tell off on him because he's my IT person. He's like, I don't think we can do that. Like, I don't have an iPhone. I'm like, I think you can do it. Like, Logan can do anything in IT. He really can. And he started looking at it. I'm like, oh, okay. So it's not for a certain phone type. It's a website you can go to. And I will put that in the comments if you've never used it and tell you how you can use it. The only thing I had heard of it before was how teachers were hating it, or a lot of them were concerned with it because students were using it to write their papers. I remember thinking, like, that's crazy. How can it write their papers? Well, I see how it can, but you can tell very quickly, I think, if someone has used it. Now, is it helpful in summarizing information, answering questions, maybe getting some creative writing samples or email, thank you note, script, more, lots of things, right? Lots of things. Yes. Man, I wish I had it when I had to write hundreds of thank you notes back in graduations and wedding showers and baby showers. It would have been amazing if you could have been like, thank you for my food processor, my dear Aunt Sally, and it come up with a whole paragraph so you're not having to come up with something different every time you're writing it. That would have been fantastic. So I definitely see some advantages there. But how can you use it with travel? So not just to describe the pictures, which can be fun, right? So you can do it for your travel pictures, but how can you use it in positive ways? So here's some helpful ways you can use it when researching for travel. Very helpful for brainstorming. I have so many clients that come to me and they're like, I don't even know where I want to begin. I don't know where I want to go on my honeymoon. I'm like, okay, this is something we could use for that. Go to your ChatGPT search and put in honeymoon ideas that are tropical or that are not tropical. I specialize in tropical, but if someone's trying to get ideas that are not tropical, that could be a good place. Tell them things that you like. Maybe provide a budget idea. There's ideas you can get. You can also customer support. A lot of customer support now can be answered with ChatGPT for learning. So maybe it's a huge amount of information you want it to summarize. Yes, you could do that. Coming up with lists. So that is another thing that you could do. Like you want a packing list, or you want, Logan loves his travel list or his travel prep list. And you can ask ChatGPT to come up with a checklist for your upcoming vacation. Or maybe you want to travel with carry-on only and you're going to the Caribbean. Or maybe you wanted a general info or requirements for a destination and you could use it as a jumping off point. That would be a good idea. Hotels near a cruise port. Also possible. What are some risks of this? I'm going to show you an example in just a moment, but here are some things you need to look out for. Okay, maybe it's wordy. All right, so there's that. Like if you're using it to recreate or write an email for you, it may sound very flowery in language, but you can give it a word count. That can help. It's also going to be biased. We think, hey, it's AI. It can't be biased. Someone had to put in the code, so the creator of the code is going to have inserted their own biases. Inaccuracies, I'm going to show you some examples of that. And it is not a human replacement. It can be used in addition to. It's not the same as personal experience. It's not going to replace that. So I'm going to give you this great example because I want to show you what I mean. So I typed in ChatGPT that I would like a weekend itinerary for Tupelo, Mississippi. Now you're thinking, why did I say Tupelo, Mississippi? I know Tupelo very well because I wanted to see what are some suggestions that it gave me. Well, it started off very strong. It started off saying it recommended going to Hotel Tupelo and on a Friday night checking in and then going to Blue Canoe, listening to some live music, having some great soul food, then strolling downtown, mentioned going to Crave for dessert, saying that you could take pictures of the murals, do some window shopping. Okay, that was great. Friday was a hit. I want to point out that also I did this 3 times and every time I got slightly different answers. This is where things started to change a little bit. On Saturday, it recommended going to Elvis Presley birthplace. Great recommendation, right? We're in Tupelo. Then it suggested breakfast at Cafe 212. There's a couple of problems with that. I'm an avid Cafe 212 connoisseur. They're open Monday through Friday for lunch only. So it recommended that I go there for breakfast on a Saturday. If I showed up to Cafe 212 for breakfast on a Saturday, I would be disappointed. Then it mentioned going to Relics, the antique market. Good example, or good recommendation. It also suggested that I stroll through the Tupelo Farmers Market if I was going to be visiting between May and October. The farmers market will be great, and it's going to be amazing, the brand new one. I can't wait to go. But unless they plan on changing their times, they're normally a morning farmers market. The earlier you are there, the better. If you're there in the afternoon on Saturday, nobody else will be there typically. Then it recommended going to the Gumtree Museum of Art, having dinner at Sweet Tea and Biscuits Cafe, which I also love, Sweet Tea and Biscuits Cafe, but know that it's not open for dinner. It is also a lunch-only location. Suggested catching a show at the Tupelo Community Theater. The Lyric is amazing. It is not going to have a show every weekend, so that's something you would want to check. Also, it sells out quite frequently. Sunday, I was going to be very disappointed with its recommendations because even though it mentioned two of my favorite places, both happened to be closed on Sundays. Breakfast at Lost and Found Coffee. Their avocado toast is second to none. And lunch at Queen's Reward Meadery. Queen's Reward is known for having amazing mead slushes, samples of, you could do a mead sampler, great. Sometimes they have food trucks in the evenings, but they don't typically serve lunch unless they have a special event where there's a food truck there, or if you're there in the evenings and they have charcuterie, but they're also not opened on Sundays. So here's what I mean. You want to take the recommendations with a grain of salt. So that should not replace you being able to do your own research. The internet is for looking, for getting ideas. A trusted travel advisor is for booking and for really when it comes down to planning. So is it great for brainstorming, getting ideas? I'm excited to play around with it some more, get ideas, itineraries for different locations. But now you can see why you can't just take everything that AI tells you. You're going to have to verify that. You're going to have to see, are these places still open in general? Are the hours coinciding with the hours it's suggesting? Also, it doesn't take into account personal experiences and personal preferences. Sometimes you don't even know what to ask. You don't know what you're looking for. And talking with a person, you can get a better idea of what it is that you are looking for or what you're not looking for to help, rule out or get some other ideas. So, in conclusion, ChatGPT is really fun when it comes to, roasting your photos and getting some great ideas, brainstorming where you could go on a day trip within 4 hours of Tupelo, Mississippi, right? Or a weekend itinerary in Atlanta, getting some ideas. But it is not the end all to end all. So wherever you're going this week, whatever you're doing, make it an adventure. Life is short. Take that trip. Make the memories. You won't regret it.
This show is made possible by JC Media, LLC in Ripley, Mississippi. JC Media owns the Shark 102.3 Classic Rock FM radio station where the show is hosted, and Sun Bear Recording Studio where the interviews are recorded. We need your feedback and support. If you listen to the podcast on a player like iTunes, Google Podcasts, or Amazon Music, please subscribe to the show and leave us a review. We also have an email in which you can share your feedback. That email is theshark1023@gmail.com. Subscribe to our podcast on your favorite app or stream episodes online at shark1023.com/podcasts. Today's episode was produced by Melinda Marsalis. It was edited by Rick Williams and engineered by Chris Marsalis. The podcast technician is Joyce Grady.